Imi muri mukomana yakase yakarizwa namai.
Okay. Inini ndiri mukomana nonzwisisa ma issues anosanganwa nawo naanamai. Given kuti ndakarizwa naamai.
Masculinity and how much is it influenced by societal expectations?
Okay. I define masculinity as manliness.
Okay.
Or being having the characteristics of a man.
Urume.
Yes.
Okay.
So urume wachutaura nezvawo ndekuti pane zviri expected by the society of a man. Right? I would want to explore it from a cultural determinism perspective.
I am human, did not feel our pain. Kutendere murume, I see motion. I see motion, kutinda kapa mukota.
Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Gota Men's Issues. My name is Lawrence Mazenge, and thank you so much for keeping on joining us. And today I've got a special guest that I'm going to be speaking to. He's a teacher. He has been a teacher for the past 10 years, and he teaches family and religious studies. He teaches history and so forth and so forth. And he's going to introduce himself. I'm not going to say much, but I just want to thank you, and I want you to know that the topic that we are going to talk about today is a bit controversial, but I've got a man who thinks he's a specialist in that topic. We want to hear his views. He's a teacher who works with kids in school, and we want to hear what he says and what he thinks about that topic. Our topic today is titled Men Raised by Mother. How does it shape their masculinity? How does being raised by a mother without a father figure shape your masculinity as a man? Say, Mr. Lloyd, I want you to introduce yourself fully and just tell us a brief background about yourself, and then we get into our topic.
Okay, hello viewers. My name is Lloyd Muphemhena. I'm a teacher by profession, and I've been teaching for the past 10 years. I hold a degree in Bachelor of Arts. I've done postgraduate diploma in education, and I've been working with kids secondary level, and these kids are actually some of them that are disadvantaged, some of them have gone into a lot of issues. So the topic that has been said is actually one of my specialists in dealing with kids. It actually helps me to deal with kids, especially the boys or the young men. So in brief, that's me.
Okay. Saka, iye zvino teacher kupi?
Okay, iko zvino ndikudzidzisa ku Mushowe High School in Urungwe. I've been teaching there for the past 8 years.
For the past 8 years?
Yes.
Urungwe, Mushowe High School.
Yes.
All right. So, if I may ask a question, what really inspired you to explore the relationship between mothers and masculinity? How inspired you to just start exploring this relationship?
Okay. What inspired me is firstly my upbringing. Personally, my upbringing. I've been raised by a mother.
Okay.
So, what further inspired me to interrogate this issue is dealing with boys. Because I'm a guidance counseling teacher. So dealing with boys, at times we have sessions with boys at school where we teach them, or we try to find out the problem that they're facing as boys, as young men who are in adolescence. So given that situation, it's where I started to interrogate this issue, given that my subjects are social science subjects. That's another thing that brings me to this position to say, nyaya dzevakomana vakarizwa naamai dzakambobira sei?
Alright, toda kumbonzwa mati makarizwa naamai.
Yes.
Chibotodza kuti muri mukomana kana muri mukomana akamira sei makarizwa naamai.
Okay.
Because chandikudaro ndechekuti handizokuti ndichazonzwa nemi patinoenda deeper netopic.
Yes.
Because kuna vamwe vari kubhesha kuti mukomana agoni kurezwa naamai akanyazoita murume zvakanaka. Umwana kuti mai vega vagoni kunyazoreza mukomana kuti asvike pakuita vanoti hanzi panodiwa a father figure in the culture or in the home. Imi muri mukomana yakasei yakarezwa naamai.
Okay. Inini ndiri mukomana nonzwisisa ma issues anosanganikwa nawo naana amai, given kuti ndakarizwa naamai. The father figure was not there, as you have said. The father figure was not there. So given situation yandakakura ndiri, nekuzoona vana vari kurizwa naana amai, nekuzoona vana vari kukudzwa naana amai, ndo pauya nyaya iyi yekuti ndinyatsonzwisisa kuti there are issues comparing them with vamwe vana vakarizwa naana baba. As I came into contact navo, pana vana vanodzidzisa vanorizwa naana baba, kuna vana vanorizwa naana amai, kuna vanorizwa both parents. So there comes a disparity of these three groups. Kuti mwana anorizwa nababa, neanorizwa naamai, neanorizwa nemaparents ese aripo, pane kakusiyana karipo. Saka pane ma-issues akawanda anosanganikwa nawo nevana vakarizwa naana amai, avanenge vakuda kuita explore as they grow up. It's like they want to be men enough, or they are now venturing into issues of manhood, issues of masculinity. Yet they've been raised in a feminine environment.
Okay.
That's where.
So it affects them.
Yes, it affects them
to navigate issues of masculinity.
Yes.
Okay. How do you define masculinity, if I may ask, and how do you think it's influenced by societal expectations?
Okay.
What is your definition of masculinity, and how much is it influenced by societal expectations?
Okay. I define masculinity as manliness.
Okay.
Or being having the characteristics of a man.
Urume.
Yes.
Okay.
So urume watutaura nezvawo ndekuti pane zviri expected by the society of a man. Right? I would want to explore it from a cultural determinism perspective. We are what we are because of how the society have raised us. So our culture determines who we are. In other words, how we are raised, the society that we grew up from, or the family setup that we grew up in, is what shapes us. So from there, masculinity becomes an issue in the sense that when you are not raised by a father figure, or when the father figure was absent, either by way of by separation, either by divorce, either by death, the father is not there. There comes an issue. How does that man fit the characteristics of a man? Does that fit exactly to become a man? Can he be a man enough in the society? Because the society has got expectations of a man, right? A man is like this. A man is like this. Then this child, this boy, this young man, we have been raised by a mother. How does he look like? Right. This is where we are coming from. This is where the issue of men, of masculinity becomes a topical issue.
All right.
Yes.
Right. You are talking about the society.
Yes.
The society.
Yes.
Do you think that the traditional notions of masculinity are still relevant today?
Yes, I think they are very relevant.
Okay.
The traditional norms, the traditional expectations of masculinity are very relevant. Why? Because our society, African society, is a patriarchal society, by the way. So given that it is a man-dominated society, there are certain things that varume kumabhawa, varume kumachurch, varume wherever they are, they say, murume chai akadai, murume chai anodai. So it means these issues are still relevant and they are still there within our society. Even women themselves admit, it means the issues of masculinity are always there and they are there. They might change because society is changing. We have issues of gender equality and equity that are being raised in our society, but the issues of masculinity remains relevant because certain things are expected of men in our society.
All right. You spoke. We are two opposites that are sitting down. You were raised by your mother.
Yes.
I was raised by my father.
Okay.
So I don't understand. I have no picture when you are talking about the masculinity. I don't even know.
Okay.
So maybe I'm masculine enough because I was raised by my dad.
Okay.
But I wanted to ask, how do mothers then shape their sons' understanding of masculinity? And what are some common ways they influence their son's development?
Okay.
Your mother, how does your mother shape their son's understanding of masculinity?
Okay. The mothers they play a very important role. I'll start with the positive. There are two sides.
Yeah, give us the side effects, the negatives and the positives.
Yes, the positives ones are that mothers give platform to their sons to perform fatherly duties in the absence of their fathers.
So there are times when you begin to feel like you are
yes.
Yes,
you have got the authority, right?
Okay.
There are certain things that they are consulted. To say, especially when the son is the firstborn or is the eldest son, right? To say, what should we do? What exactly are we supposed to do? In other words, the son is there in the decision making.
All right.
So that's a positive, right? Secondly, they are given the authority by being praised. Probably Shumba, right? Yeah, the mother.
If the father is not in the picture.
Yes, it's there. Especially when the father is no longer there through separation, right? So the mother hides the totem, right? But when the father is no longer there, probably through death, definitely the mother wants to give the father figure or the father role to their sons.
To their sons.
Another thing is that the duties that they are given to do at home, right? If it is in the rural setup, say the son takes that role. So that shapes the picture of how a man should behave, how a man should what a man is all about for this son, right? Saka mwanawe akuana kuti ini ndofana kudai. I am expected of this because I am the father. There is no other father who is in this family than me, right? This is the positive picture that the mothers help in shaping a boy to become a man, masculinity, but in the presence of a feminine environment. But negatively, you're going to see that there are things that a father does when he's around, which a mother cannot do, right? When the father is around, he is there to step authority. He is there to caution, right? Usually, I'll give an example. When the father works away from the family, the mother always say, Baba Wachawia, right? That is to say, the father has got a certain role. The father has got a role that he plays that is needed within the family.
All right.
But unfortunately, when he is no longer there, the men are known of being courageous, virile, right? They are known of being people who are strong enough. Pachishona muruma acheni, right?
Exactly.
For example, muruma acheni. But when someone has been raised by a mother, they are too, I may say, to the extreme, they are too empathetic, right?
I know you.
Yes.
Yes.
So these are some of the issues that are actually the man falls short when he is raised by a mother.
Okay.
So the negative part is that the manly is no longer there. Empathy, right? Too much empathetic.
But you are kuti ndo vamukuti murume atizozvaichinzi murume acheme chii.
Yes.
Isusu ndo zvakatoza kucreate pa platform ino manje.
Yes.
Totozama kuti varume vacheme.
Okay, fine.
Because you find kuti most men they commit suicides.
Yes, sure.
Nokuti zvinenge zviri umwe. Vanoitwa vanoitwa vakadzi vanoenda vanonotaura kwakawanda murume kana kutomuenda kucounseling chako anonzwa kuti I cannot do that.
It's okay.
Better nditofa. So ukata some rates of suicides, most men are committing suicide.
Sure.
Saka ini ndikutofunga mataura kuti makuta nditodeba kuti maybe ndakarizwa nako because nandicheme zvokumanya.
Okay.
And ndudze vanhu matambudziko angu zvokuita seizvokumanya. Vanada kutaura. handisati ndambotaura.
Okay.
I don't talk.
Okay.
Saka handiti nyatsosanangura ipapo kuti amuonere kuti vamuri kutoti vanoyema. Hatisodi the extreme side. Tozoda kuti murume aoneko but kakuyema ikako tukukanda mbichana.
It's very true.
Kwete zvedu zvakaita ukadonha unzi sumuka murume acheme tungoda kakuyema ikakako kuti munhu akwanise kunoita out maproblems. Vanhu vari mumarriage, we want people to be able kuti varume vakawanda they don't want to seek help in marriage. Vakadzi vanotsvaga help varume vanhu vati no we are not going to do that.
Okay.
So how do we balance?
Okay. I want to bring in probably an old issue. It's not an old as such. The issue of dowry, right? In the old system, in the yesteryears, in African society, varume vanogara padare. Padare, women are not allowed kugara padare. The reason being, men should discuss the issues padare.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
So the platform for them to cry was there.
Padare.
Yes.
All right.
The diary is a platform where they can share issues pertaining to them as men, right? Discuss them, conclude them as men, right? It's not necessarily that men should not cry, but there are issues where men should cry, and there are issues where men should cry where there are other men, right? So that they maintain their authority.
Okay, now I see.
Yes.
Okay.
So their authority, if they cry in front of their children, the child is,
it's disappointment.
Yes.
Now ndosa takacreate this platform inonzi Gota.
Okay.
Kuti susu varume uyai tichemere kuno.
Yes.
Musangochema kwese. Kuno ndoko kuita se ndoko kuchemera. Thank you so much on that one. It's been clarified.
Yes.
I wanted to ask maybe are you able to share some examples of how mothers might inadvertently or intentionally promote traditional or non-traditional masculine values?
Okay.
Yeah, you've spoken, you've given examples of the positive and negative.
Yes.
But is there a way they can promote traditional and non-traditional values? Yeah.
I think mothers can do that, right? Firstly, what they can do, even in the absence of the fathers, I think our society, the Shona society, the Ndebele society, the African society, has always been actually advocating for an extended family, right? The extended family, yes, the issues that have been raised about extended families, that's where that's the bad part. But the good part is that Bamini can play the fatherly figure. Yeah. They can play the fatherly figure within the society, right? Within this family. Sekuru can play the fatherly figure. The father is no longer there. But the Bamini is always there to play, to fill the gap, right? So mothers can allow their sons to have discussions with these main figures within the extended setup. That's actually positively actually impacting on the masculinity of the men. At the same time, they should be allowed, these boys, these young men, they should be allowed to have interactions with other men within the society, whether it is within the society, whether it is within the family, but they are trusted men within the society, they are trusted elders within the society, that they should seek advice, they should go there and have a conversation, because I think the missing part is the conversation, because they need to converse.
All right.
Right.
Okay. So what are some of the common challenges you were raised by a mother? Okay. What are some of the common challenges that men raised by mothers might face in terms of developing their masculinity?
Okay. Some of the problems is that they might not be men enough, right?
What do you mean by men enough?
Yes. When I'm saying men enough, they might fall short of the characteristics of a man, because, as I have said, society have got expectations of what a man looks like, right? Or for what a man should do. So, sons that have been raised, boys that have been raised by mothers, they might lack this aspect. Why? Because the father figure was not there. Or, at the far extreme, they might be overdoing it because they were given a bigger role, right? they're given a more space to exercise their masculinity. So they don't know the limits, right?
So you are a teacher.
Yes.
You are an academic.
Yes.
Is there a proof to these things?
Yes, there is a proof.
Okay.
There is a proof. One of the proofs,
to that?
right? One of the proof is that behavior, studying the behavior as a social scientist, studying the behavior of kids that have been raised by mothers, you can see them being overstepping authority over their female students that are in the class.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
They want to show that I'm yes. Why? Because they don't know the limit. That in as much as I am the man within a family, I cannot go beyond this, right? They want to step authority over
other female students.
You realize they might go even further when they marry their wives. They might domestic violence, right? They don't really have that understanding that we can discuss issues. We can solve issues by discussion. They think because they want to fill the gap. They go to Baba because Baba the father is not there.
Okay.
So they end up dealing issues violently. You want to end issues, conflicts violently. Yes.
All right. So we are seeing a lot of the increase in the number of single mothers.
Yes.
In this world that we are living in.
Sure.
How do you think that increase of single mothers is affecting traditional notions of masculinity?
Okay, I think it's affecting, for me, negatively, mostly negatively. It's affecting the masculinity nature within the men setup, right? Why? Because as children are raised by their mothers, there are a lot of issues that they face because the mother, in as much as the mothers are, people would want to say they're weak parties, the weak partners within the family setup, but at times the mothers hide certain things, right? Right? What it means is that at times men need to say things as they are, whether they are wrong or whether they are right. But mothers have got this aspect of hiding things for long, right? Yes.
Right.
Saka, that is actually affecting the society. It's actually,
so how is that increase in single mothers then affecting that masculinity aspect?
Right. It's affecting the masculinity in that we are having now men, right, who are then acting in this feminine characteristic. They are men. If you see them, biologically they are men. But they are not. There is this women part that is within them. Yes, they're acting womanish in them. Not to say women are bad, right? But they are certain things that yes, their position.
All right.
Yes.
All right. So what role then do you think women can play, mothers can play in promoting positive masculinity in their sons?
Right. I think mothers can play a very important and big role in actually promoting masculinity within the society because they need, right, to have, because they know, because mothers are not mothers outside men, right? They at one point probably they had a husband, right? They know how the husband used to do with issues, right? At the same time, they know how issues were discussed within their family setup, with her being the mother, the father being there. So they can shape the lives of their sons. They can shape in a positive manner by not giving them bigger role, much space, by also giving them their role as men, or shaping them in a way that they act in the men or in the masculine characteristics they are supposed to, but not giving them much space, not limiting them again, but giving them the moderate way of how men should behave, or how should they carry themselves within the society.
All right. Can you actually share with us any personal stories or insights about how your own upbringing or relationships with mothers have influenced your understanding of masculinity.
Okay.
Yeah, you can give us
Okay.
personal stories or examples.
Okay, I'll give you my personal experience.
Are you married yourself?
Yes, I am.
Are you not domestic violence?
No.
You can give us examples.
Right. I think I'll speak from a personal experience that I was raised by a mother. I stayed with my grandmother, I stayed with my mother. Those are the people that I was close to, right? The aspect of being a bit too empathetic, right, is actually, it actually catches up with me, right? Why? Because mothers are very empathetic. You see them when zvinonzikana mwana akaaffectwa amai ndio vega vanogona kumira naye chaicho, right? So in that scenario, even personally, I grew up in that environment where mothers very empathetic, vanokunzwira tsitsi, but possibly fathers at times vanokunzwira tsitsi but they don't show it, right? Yeah, that aspect of not showing it actually will make the men, will harden up the men, right? And the man becomes the man who is expected within the society, so that he can stand in face of my challenges, he can stand in face of everything else. So personally, being raised in such an environment, very empathetic, right? Understanding people in a men's society is important, but at times it should be limited, because at times you over understand somebody, he takes advantage of that, right? So that aspect, people usually, they ended up taking advantage of me. When I was college, University of Zimbabwe, right? I used to know people, right? People knew we want to get help, we'll go to rain, right? Why? Because for me, helping is actually part and parcel of how I was raised, right? But at times people will use you, right? Instead of you being someone who is helpful, you are now being usable, right? Ukushandiswa in the certain things that you are able to do. Probably they can earn you a living, right? But instead, people are going to use you for nothing. Why? Because you're too empathetic, you understand them, they come in. At times, men, they are hard enough to say this far and not beyond.
Okay.
Yes.
That's all right. And then, what are some of the key takeaways from our conversation today, and how can listeners apply that to their own lives? Like you have spoken about a lot of things. You've spoken about how we need a balance between being raised by a mother and stuff. What are some of the key takeaways that we talk about?
Okay. Yeah. The key takeaways from this discussion is that, number one, men should be in their position, right? Yes. They should be in their position. Similar to women, they should be in their position. I think from there we will get a balance, right? Yes. Of how the ecosystem of a society should work. All right. Because if men are there in their position and women are there in their position, then everything is going to move in the right direction. Right. These issues of gender equality, gender equity and stuff, they are coming from a position where women probably I want to interrogate into issue space which is not theirs, right? At the same time, there are some men who want to interrogate into space which is not theirs, but at the same time, you will then realize that there is a mismatch or misnomer within the society. All right. Not only that, another takeaway is that boys that have been raised by mothers, they can as well learn the good part that their mothers are able to infuse into them, right? But at the same time, there should also be some space by mothers that they give their sons to operate and exercise their masculinity, but give it a limit, because if they go beyond what they are supposed to go beyond, they are sort of corrupted as men. They are men, but they are corrupted men. They are not men enough, right, to be men within the society, because there are expectations within our society that men should do this. And yes, I've said we are a patriarchal society, but there are things that are positive from this patriarchal system, which are not negative, right? Okay. So from those positives that are from a patriarchal system, that's we should promote in our society so that our society becomes a balanced society.
And are there any resources or recommendations you would like to share with listeners who are interested in learning more about this topic?
Okay, I think resources in terms of how I think the issue around men, I think the men issue is supposed to be really looked into from a societal perspective. The resources that I think they are still there in the society are these elderly people within our society. They are very, very important because they have certain things that they say. Mm-hmm. Remember, our African society, we don't keep records of things. Mm-hmm. These are orally spoken and we just let them go.
All right.
So if they are no longer there in our society, these elderly people, we are going to have men who are not men. Mm-hmm. Right, within our society. Mm-hmm. Then we start to find some problems in our society. We want to find out where are these problems coming from. Yeah, they are coming from a perspective where men in our society have not learned from their elders. Mm-hmm. They have not learned from the ancient society. Mm-hmm. Have not learned from the past years that how are men raised, right? How are men supposed to behave? Mm-hmm. What is the expectation of the society of men? Saka. Mm-hmm. Madzitateguru edu vatichi nawo, vana baba vatichi nawo, vakuru vedu vatichi nawo, ndo vanhu vanogona kutibatsira.
That's our best resource.
Yes, those are our best resources in our society.
Okay.
So we need to make use of them. Yes.
Thank you so much for joining us today, Mr. Lloyd. I really appreciate the time that you have taken to come and share with us the knowledge that you have. You are in contact with these students. You were raised by a single mother yourself. Yes. If there are definitely going to be follow-up questions to this topic, I'll definitely invite you again so that we talk about it. But I really appreciate the knowledge that you have, and may you keep developing it so that our community and our society will continue to benefit from that.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Lawrence Mazenga. Our topic today on Gota Men's Issues was men raised by mothers. How does it shape their masculinity? If you have anything that you want to contribute on this topic, if you have anything that you want to say on this topic, may you please just put it on the comment section, and we are definitely going to consider it and act on it if that is possible. But I want to thank you so much. Every Monday we are here. Share the program and let other people know that we are here. We are reaching various parts of the world and various parts of the country. This is who we are, Gota Men's Issues. Thank you so much for joining us today. Have a wonderful evening, have a wonderful day, depending on where you are. Thank you.
I am human, did not feel our pain. Kutendere murume, I see emotion. I see emotion, kutenda kapa mukota. Kutendere murume, dinende fu, I see emotion.